Okay, welcome everybody to the experience this morning, and we're going to begin in a new series, which this tape is titled "In the Beginning." And why I see it back there. Now what? Is it still crooked? Which way does it have to go? This has to go up. This, she says it's too. I'm not going to do it anymore. You know that. All right. Okay. What we're going to do, what I want you to do here is you're going to look at the Bible in a way that probably you've never looked at it before. And the premise as we go week to week as we explore through Genesis and go into Exodus is that what you're going to look here is not a book that has anything to do with religion, has anything to do with spirituality, but is totally talking to you about the evolution of consciousness, the evolution of the mind. And that's a very, very important part, see? The evolution of consciousness from Genesis right through. We begin at the very beginning and then move ourselves and see these things develop as they come together. Now, the first thing that you have to look at is if you're going to look at the Bible, you're going to look at Genesis, you're going to look at the Garden of Eden, and you have to say to yourself, is this literal? Did this really happen? Because that's an extremely important thing. You can't go to step 2 unless you go to step 1. What you have, the first thing that you might look at, which causes me to wonder, is in this particular garden, in this primeval place of millions of years ago, if you would, you have 2 English people. You've got Adam and Eve running around. Okay, that's the first thing that causes me to wonder about this. What are these 2 English people doing in this jungle running around? Okay? Now, the second thing that happened is the entire world, as the premise of this story is the entire world is filled with cancer and AIDS and atomic war and rape and pillaging and looting because these 2 English people ate an apple. That's it. I mean, I don't think, that's not the way it's spelled. Apple. Okay, they ate an apple or a piece of fruit, and the whole place is an absolute nightmare because of this. That's the second part of the story that makes me question. You have 2 English people in this place, they ate a piece of fruit, and the whole world is subject to terrible destruction for that reason. So that's the second thing that gets me to be a little concerned about whether the story is literal. The third thing is one of the main characters in the story, okay, is a talking snake. I don't think so, all right? Now, for those of you that may be very religious or anything, let me just tell you something. Snakes do not talk. So this might be a reason to think that this might not be literal. There is a talking snake, and he's a main character in the show. Now, the next part of this that makes you wonder is these 2 English people running around do not know that they're naked. They don't know they're naked, okay? In other words, they have no idea that they have no panties. They're just running around and... See, all of a sudden, how do they find out they're naked? The talking snake tells them. Okay? The talking snake say, hey, what's that? And they say, oh, wow, I didn't know. And they go running, and they got to find fig leaves. He gets 1, she gets 3, and then they come out, and they're all right, see? Now, that's the problem I have. English people, the whole world is destroyed because they ate a piece of fruit. There's a talking snake. These people don't know they're naked until they are told they're naked by the talking snake. And this is the point. Now, and there's another very important part of this program here. In the world that the religionists are trying to get educational institutions all over the world to teach creation theory along with evolution, and this is the basis of this is all they've got. They've got 2 English people running around naked, don't know they don't have any clothes on until they come in contact with a talking snake. The talking snake tells them, hey, you don't have any clothes on, why don't you eat this fruit? And that's the basis of teaching people about creation. See? And so I think we should then say, there's enough evidence here from the talking snake, people not realizing they don't have any clothes on, to say that this is not a literal story. And once you get to that point that it's not a literal story, then you look at it and say, if it isn't literal, what do all of these things mean? Look, you can't look at this thing about God creating stars and God creating water and God creating the earth and God creating birds and all of these things and say that's literal, but the point about the talking snake and they didn't know they didn't have any clothes on, that's not literal. It either is one thing or it's not. So the entire context then has to be that this is an evolution of something. And as we go along, you'll find out it's an evolution of you. It's an evolution of consciousness. Okay. And that's what basically this is. Has nothing to do with a physical creation. Has to do with the creation that is the evolution of ourselves. And in that way, it becomes extremely important. The evolution of the mind. As we go through these things weekly, one of the things we'll do is we're not going to go line by line because much of this falls in the form of allegory. We're going to highlight, we're going to hit those things that are key, things that you've experienced in the past and understand in the past. And then together we'll try to look at them and see, gee, you know, what is this that I'm looking at? What is this all about? Okay. So one of the first things we're going to run into as we look at the, quote, evolution of ourselves and the evolution of life and creation and so forth is a person by the name of Adam. This is going to be the first person. Okay. Now, in understanding this Adam, we have to go back to that story of the masturbation as it was framed of God in Memphis, Egypt, in which the seed spilled from God, and the first man who then came into being was named Atum. And here then we have Atum as the source of what we know, the center of all life, which is Adam. Now we're starting to see something that makes sense. The beginning of everything is Atum. And then conveyed in an allegorical sense in an English Bible by the name Adam. It's the same thing. Whether you call it Adam A-D-A-M or Adam A-T-O-M, it's the same thing. But what's being spoken of at the time is that the source of all life in the primordial way was the Atom. Okay. And so that's what we have. And what you're going to see as we develop then is the development from that which is the very beginning of the atom into that which then incorporated into it the mental process, which is Eve, and then the complexities of it as the two start to struggle with the left and the right side. The mental starts to struggle with the physical in the inclusion of Cain and Abel and all that kind of business. Okay? So that's where we're at. Now, one of the first things you notice, if you have a little Bible, you open up to page 2 in the Bible, and one of the very first things you're going to see in Genesis 2, verse 8, is the fact that a garden is going to be part of the story. Okay, our people are going to dwell in a garden. Okay, and the garden's name is Eden. And the word Eden means delight. It is the garden of delight. Delight, love, peace. That's Eden. And this is created, and it's very interesting to know something, okay? In Genesis chapter 2, verse 8, the primeval dwelling place of all living things, it said that the garden is planted eastward. Okay? Eastward. And remember, whenever you look north, east is always on the right side. So here then we have something. The center of life is Atom. Okay? And the creative essence of that which explodes into you and me has built within it a garden of delight, a garden of life, a garden of love, which is located at the right side. It's located eastward. All right? Now, take a look, if you would, and you'll get a concept of this. If you turn to page 716, turn to page 716, and in page 716, you'll find a book of Ezekiel, all right? And Ezekiel chapter 43, page 716. Ezekiel chapter 43. Now the garden of delight, the garden of Eden, is that which is the right hemisphere of the brain. That's what's being set up for you. There is a place within you which is filled with delight, which is filled with love, which is filled with peace. In Genesis chapter 43, okay, look at verse 4. And the glory of the Lord came into the house by way of the gate whose prospect is towards the east, to the right side. Look at verse 2. And behold, the glory of the God of Israel came from the way of the east. Why? Come on, because it's at the right side. The garden of delight. Within you, there is a garden. It's a word now. Remember, we have the premise. We're not talking about literalizing anything. We're saying there is a part of you that is an entity at the right hemisphere, the creative part, which creation has tagged or termed a garden of delight. There is beauty, there is love, there is creation, there is all that is new, and it is at the right side. It is at the right hemisphere. Okay. Now this is that which is the description of what it is that we seek to return to. We are seeking to return to that which is the garden. Now there's a very interesting thing in this so-called creation epic that you're looking at. If you look at the 7 days of creation, basically what you're looking at is your own creation, which is the 7 chakras. From the earth to the water, to the air, to the fire, the earth being the lower mind, the water being the second stage, which is truth, the air where the soaring things fly being that which is divine consciousness, to the fire, which is the sun and the stars and all of these things which are lit, which is being that which is spiritual, to the 4th stage of consciousness. And then you get to a point where it says in Genesis 2:2, go on back onto page 2 or whatever it is, Genesis chapter 2, the interesting thing is if you look at Genesis chapter 2, verse 2, and on the 7th day, God ended his work. That's the 7th chakra. That's the place of peace. That's the place where you end your work. That's the place where you struggle through the Monday of your life, and the Tuesday of your life, and the Wednesday of your life, and the Thursday of your life, and your Friday of your life, and your Saturday of your life, and finally you get to the Sunday of your life, and the Sunday of your life is the S-U-N day of your life, which is the pineal gland of the brain, which throws open the kingdoms of the East inside of you, and there is life exploding. All new, all color, all excitement. The garden of delight is yours because you have gone through the 6 days, and now you have reached the place of Sabbath, which is the Sunday, which is the pineal gland of the brain, which is the Sabbath. And in that place, as it says in the Bible, no burden can be brought into there. No burden can be brought into the holy city on the Sabbath. That was a literal law. You couldn't bring anything, work, any effort into Jerusalem on the 7th day. But it wasn't talking about Jerusalem there. It's talking about Jerusalem in here. No burden can. The only part of you where there is no stress, there is no fear, there is no guilt, there is no hurt, there is no anger, is in that garden at the right side. And where all of the guilt and all of the fear and all of the hurt is in the left side, and that's where we hang out. But there is a garden of delight. And so we see that. Now let me just show you. On the 7th day,